Hope everyone's doing well. I've been thinking about the four horses of the apocalypse for freaking years now. And I've been trying to understand exactly the meaning of them all. And of course, the one that's the mystery one is the pale horse, right? And he represents death. And I've been sitting and wondering if there was kind of a trick to understanding these four horses for quite some time. So anyhow, I looked into it and I can't believe what I found, and I'm so excited to share it with you. And it all, you know, correlates with Pluto. So Pluto and Hades, and I'm going to do a little dive in here because the way people are interpreting this is not the real way that we should. And the pale horse, which represents death, is actually, I believe, the freedom path. So I want to get into it, and I'll show you how this all correlates to the four winds. That is Astrea's brothers, and I want to go over them because they're connected to the four horsemen. If you're new to my channel, I actually just did a video on Astrea. She is the goddess of the Golden Age, and she is represented by Justice, or Lady Liberty, or Lady Dyke. So she, I do believe, represents the Statue of Liberty. And the four winds are her brothers. This is the most famous painting of them, and you can see the lamb up in the rainbow and the clouds on top. And this is the picture that Wikipedia uses. Of course, there's the pale horse, the black horse, the red horse, and the white horse. The four horsemen of the apocalypse are figures in the Christian religion, appearing in the New Testament's final book, Revelation. So here they're saying Revelation 6 tells of the book scroll of God's right hand that is sealed with 7 seals. The Lamb of God, the Lion of Judah, opens the first 4 of the 7 seals, which summons 4 beings that ride out on white, red, black, and pale horses. To Zechariah, they are described as the ones whom the Lord has sent to patrol the earth, causing it to rest quietly. Ezekiel lists them as the swords, famine, wild beast, and plague. So the white horse carries the bow and given a crown, riding forward as a figure of conquest, perhaps evoking pestilence, Christ or the Antichrist. So it can be Christ or the Antichrist. The second carries the sword and rides the red horse and is the creator of war. The third is food merchant. That's why he has the balance, which is really like justice, riding upon a black horse, symbolizing famine. He carries the scales. The fourth and final horse is the pale green, and upon it rides death, accompanied by Hades. Okay, so it's interesting that Wikipedia actually says it's pale green. It's not just pale. They were given authority over a quarter of the earth to kill with sword, famine, and plague, and by means of the beasts of the earth. So this is interesting. So, they're saying it's pale green. It's tied to Hades, and Hades is Pluto, your soul, right? So I just wanted to go over this and just specify how they're explaining that it's pale green, because I found the etymology of the word, the original meaning of pale, and it's all tying to pale green. So here's the Greek original word for pale green is chloros. So chloros is like chlorophyll, chloros meaning green and phyll meaning leaf. So it definitely ties to a plant. Okay, so the pale green represents the chlorophyll in plants. So this is the fixed cross, and the four horsemen, I believe, align to the fixed cross. And right now we're living on the fixed cross. It's the cross that has Leo, in it, right? So Leo is the only constellation ruled by the sun. So if you think of it like the Freemason pillars, you have the fire sun pillar, which is male, you have the moon water pillar, which is female, and then you have the ladder, which always has earth and air on it, right? That's the spiritual ladder, is earth and air. So basically it's like you're either sinking into the earth or you're flying up, right? This is the path of, you know, in a way, between the upper part of the tree of life and the lower part. So with the fixed cross, and the sun being Leo on its own pillar, and the moon pillar being represented by Scorpio, so that is sexuality, right? And it's to do with a male dominant sexual reality. And this is what we kind of live in, right? It's not a reality based on intuition and femininity. It's all male dominant, and sexuality on the entertainment business is being thrown at us all the time. So these four signs have the four fixed stars in the sky. So this is why I'm saying we live in this reality. There's four fixed stars in the sky. Leo, it's Regulus. Scorpio, it's Entrees. Aquarius, it's Fomolo. And then Taurus, it's Aldebaran. Okay, so these are four fixed stars, and this is what we live to. So I'll show you here, with Jesus in the Vesica Pisces, he is also sitting in the fixed cross. But they take the Aquarius symbol and they make it look like an angel. They take Scorpio and make it look like an eagle. Okay, but it's still the fixed cross. In cultures, they always had Scorpio as the eagle. And I think it was in the Mexican culture. And then Aquarius, I'll go into who Aquarius really is and why he represents the angel. And actually the eagle is involved in it. Okay, so that's really fascinating history, mythology that I didn't know about before. So I'll go into that later. So I know they're tied to the four fixed stars of the fixed cross. So the white horse is Aquarius, is Fomolo. This is a fixed cross, and the fish below Aquarius. And then the red horse is Aldebaran. That is the eye in Taurus, ruled by Venus. And that is Archangel Michael. For Fomolo, it's Archangel Gabriel. And then for the pale horse, it's Entrees in Scorpio, which is Archangel Uriel. And then the black horse for famine is Regulus, the fixed star on the shoulder of Leo. And that is the Eye of Ra, and the archangel is Raphael. Okay, so I correlated now the solstices and the equinoxes. The June 21st, the summer solstice, is the white horse. The winter solstice is the black horse, which is December 21st, for feminine, also intellect. And then for the spring equinox, for the pale green horse, is March 21st. And then September 21st, the fall equinox, represents the red horse, the war. Now, if you can see here, I put in the winds. So the south wind is for the summer. His name is Notus. And the east wind for the fall is Euros, like the money in Europe. And then the west wind horse is the spring, and his name is Zephyrus, and his wife is Cleos, like just like, you know, she represents greenery. Okay, if you look into her, she represents greenery. So there, that ties her to the green horse. And then I also put the tarot cards in here. Okay, so what else? Oh yeah, the north wind. The north wind is Boreas, and then that ties into the black horse, right? So ruled by the sun, Leo. And then the tarot cards that align with these is the number 17 star card is Phoenix, because it's ruled by Aquarius. And then the number 5 card, which is the Hierophant, is the Pope. That is Taurus, where the Pleiades are, the 7 sisters. And then the Death card is the Pale Green Horse, which is ruled by Scorpio. And then the Black Horse is the Strength card, the Infinity Lion card. When it's usually a woman with her hand in the lion's mouth, it's like the Lion's Gate. So there's the cards, and there's the archangels, and the winds, and the actual seasons that go with the horses. Now, I went back in time because I was like, that's really weird. March 21st in Scorpio, right? I'm going, oh, I wonder how long ago March 21st was actually when the sun was in Scorpio, because that, is spring, and typically the sun in the fall is in Libra and Scorpio. And so it's like a total opposite of seasons. So I went back in time, and it was actually the year BC 16,666. So we get the 66666. This is on March 21st, and the sun is in the Golden Gate in like Scorpio, upper house, Ophiuchus. And we have Uranus there and Mercury in conjunction. Now, this is really important in alchemy, this placement, okay? Because Uranus is Aquarius. This is the top of the Kabbalah tree. And on the Philosopher's Stone, the top of the triangle is Mercury. Okay, so we have, the placement correlating to, the seasons of the 4 horsemen. But that was a long, long time ago. But I just thought it was kind of cool to see that there was a time, and that's the number that came up. So that was a significant placement. And then I was like, I wonder what happened on that year at Christmas, where the sun would be. Do you know it was right on Zabijava on Christmas Day with an eclipse, with Saturn, Mercury, and Jupiter, and Mars, and Enki all in Virgo, which is just kind of weird. I was just like, what's the chances of that happening? I almost feel a little seasick when I see the sun in a different location, compared to what we're normally used to. I'm just like, what? The sun at Christmas time on Zabijava? It's weird. Oh, so Osiris is in Capricorn. And then on 9/11, the sun was in the Silver Gate, between the horns of the bull, which is actually where Trump was born, right? And then on 11/11, it was right in the Lion's Gate between the 2 pillars, the moon and the sun pillar, Cancer and Leo. So 11/11 was smack on the middle path. And this was weird. On the same year, right, on Trump's birthday, June 14th, the sun is in the location of our time, Pi Day. So I was just like, what? Like on March 14th, that's where the sun is. So I'm just like, oh my God. It's just like, it's almost like it's mirroring, like just kind of like the real importance of places in the sky. Like the sun is like in sync with the important numbers and then the important placements. So in that, year. So I was just like, that's just a little weird. But it's like I said, you can make anything shift and move. You just got to know the cycles. So, even though it was 18,000 years ago, who the heck knows how many times this planet's been reset, and what time period of the sky are they actually correlating everything to? If the 4 horsemen are linked to those seasons, that's where the planets, represent. The sun would have to be in this location. That would be the year it would represent that. So I'm just saying, it's just a little weird, but I just wanted to prove it, that it can happen. But really, mathematically, or representing the equinox and the solstices, are always ruled by the cardinal cross. So this is why I think, like, eventually the freedom path goes to the cardinal cross, because the cardinal cross rules, the equinoxes and the solstices. So it's really Capricorn would be the winter solstice, Cancer is the summer solstice, and then Libra is the fall equinox, and then the spring equinox for rebirth, which is when Pi Day is, which I do believe is the Ascension Day, right? Everything's pointing to Pi Day. So that is the rebirth, and that, is ruled by Aries. It's the I am, right? So that's the true cardinal cross. So this is really where the equinoxes, don't really align, and the solstices don't really align to the fixed cross. But I put them in there because there is text saying that they do align, and it's kind of like a mix, right? Like, are the four horsemen with the cardinal cross, or are the four horsemen with the fixed cross? So I just wanted to show you the difference and make it so that you understand. Cardinal cross is very similar to the fixed cross, except it doesn't have Leo, the sun. There's no Leo. It's Cancer is on the proper pillar. Cancer, the moon, rules the cardinal cross. Feminine, intuition, in touch with your feelings. It's I am Aries on one pillar, and I feel the moon pillar. So it's I am in touch with my feelings, right? It's not, I love sexuality, which is really what the fixed cross is. I love through my sexuality. It's a whole different vibe, right? Male dominant, and then feminine dominant is cardinal cross. So this is why I want to explain. The mutable cross has no key of Saturn and has no Venus of love. It's Jupiter on the pillars. It's I can believe, or I believe I can. It's all to do with belief systems. And Mercury, okay, which is I serve and I speak. I speak to serve. Okay, it's serving the the group think at detriment to self. That's what the mutable cross is. No key, no love. It's just serve. And it was Natasha dropped this on her Facebook. Yeah, so there you go. This is Greta, and this is on a magazine, in the Guardian magazine. It just came out 3 days ago. And this is the mutable cross. You serve the cyborg. It's all to do with AI. It's doing with the passports. It's mandated sustainable living, all to do with the World Economic Forum. And, it's all to do with them believing that the earth is dying and that you need to be more locked down and mandated to help save the earth. What a bunch of BS, because the earth does its cycles and gives you a chance to escape this realm if you connect to her intuitively and through divinity. If you don't believe that Earth has any power and you think she's just a victim, you go with the AI. And that's really what's happening in our reality. And you can see it plainly now. So the four winds are called anemoi, and they have this mythology where they would come down and mate with the harpy horses, and then they would create swift, immortal horses. So the wind would mate with the horses that were on Earth, and then they'd create these special horses. And so, with the west wind, his wife, being the same wording, meaning as the green pale horse, they think this is a big clue that the wind is related to the four horses. Like, it's all tying together. So since they mated and made these immortal horses, I'm assuming the four horses of the apocalypse are these swift, immortal horses. So Boreas was a purple-winged god of the north wind, one of the four seasonal anemoi. Wind gods. He was also the god of winter, who swept down from the cold mountains of Thrace, chilling the air with his icy breath. Beyond this mountain home lay Hyperborea, a mythical land of eternal spring, untouched by the gods' winds. So I like that, the eternal spring. So it's saying here, an old Greek folk belief was that the winds of Boreas, which is the north winds, and Zapharos, which is the west wind for the pale horse, and Boreas is the black horse, would sweep down upon the mares in early spring and fertilize them with the guise of a wind-formed stallions. The horses born from these couplings were swiftest and finest of their kind. The fabulous horse of King Laomedon of Troy were said to have been sired in this way by Boreas upon the Trojan mares. So the white horse, the south wind, the name of the wind is Notus, and this would represent the summer solstice. Notus was the god of the south wind, one of the four directional anemoi. He was the wet storm bringing wind of late summer and early autumn. So the red horse that represents war is the east wind, and the name of that wind is Euros. So it's like the money in Europe represents war. So Euros was the god of the east wind, one of the four directional anemoi, and he was associated with the season of autumn and dwelt near the palace of the sun god Helios in the far east. So that's interesting. So anyhow, it's all ties into that time of the year, 16,666 BC. This would all align, these seasons would align with the placement of the constellations, what they represent on the tarot cards and the Kabbalah tree. Okay, so that's what I was trying to align it, just to see what time, like how long back was it where it was aligning. But anyhow, the whole thing is, it's the mythology is the wind ties to the horses. Okay, and there's four directions, there's four seasons, and they're using these names, obviously, and we didn't even know it, like the Euros in Europe. Who would have thought they actually represent the red horse, the war horse? So what's weird is when they, had the Euros come into existence, it was January 1st, so 111999. So it's like, we've got the 666 upside down, and this is when it's aligning with the 6666 years. So I'm just like, that's really just a weird coincidence. That is if you believe in coincidences. Now, the west wind, the pale horse, is Zapharos, was the god of the west wind, the one of the four seasonal anemoi. He was also the god of spring and the husband of Chloris, and Chloris meaning greenery. So see, it's the carpus, the fruit. Okay, so he is the keeper of the fruit, the west wind, the pale horse, the horse of death. The rider on the pale horse is Ophiuchius, the serpent holder, and his horse is Scorpio, the scorpion. Ophiuchius is the powerful Christ figure that signifies Yahshua dying on the cross for our sins so that he can bring healing, restoration, and life to all those who love him and his Father, Yahweh. In my book, The Language of God in History, I showed how Ophiuchius, the serpent holder, is also tied to the power of the United States and the huge moral and political struggles that have ideologically divided the nation into two warring factions. This is well depicted by the giant writhing serpent in Ophiuchius's mighty arms. So wow, I couldn't believe it. Somebody's written a book about this. So yeah, I totally believe that Ophiuchus, okay, is all tied to the doorway out of here, okay? And it has, yes, it's death. You have to be born again. Basically, you're born again and you eat the fruit, okay, from the greenery. It's the fruit. You have to eat the ambrosia to get to paradise. So I want to go into that because what is the ambrosia, right? I've been saying it's urine and a phosphorus, but I want to get into it a bit more because um, it's interesting, the story and how they've hidden it and not really telling us what it is. But I figured out exactly, I believe, what it is. There's always a link in the etymology of the words, so I want to share this with you. It's really exciting. So the word Hades comes from a word saying Hades. Hades, the abode of the departed spirits. Hades, the unseen world. Okay, I keep telling you that we're going to be here, but not here. Okay, we're going to be unseen. It's already happening. Like we're being outcasted from society. We're being, thrown away so that it's like life can go on normal as long as we're not complaining about what they did, right? Which is basically segregate people that believe in their bodies as being temples, right? They just decided, no, you guys don't exist. We're just going to carry on and we're going to go with our AI, our beast technology and just forget about people that want to live in the natural world of healing through the planet, through plants. Okay, so they're already doing it. It's kind of like, the Spanish Inquisition when they killed everybody that looked at the sky, or when they burned the witches at the stake, or, it's been going on for centuries, kill the healers, right? Jesus, Buddha, you know, uh, Pythagoras, they were all murdered because they knew the knowledge. Did you know that it says in the Bible that Jesus actually went to Hades? And everybody's trying to tell us that Hades is hell, right? Many Christians teach the concept called Abraham's bosom. The teaching purports that Hades, or Shiloh, has two separate areas within it. One area is for the unrighteous in torment, and the other is paradise. So there you go. Hades is paradise. They teach that paradise is where all the righteous go before the resurrection of the dead at the last days. So it's actually Jesus went there, and then then he resurrected afterwards or something, but he ends up going there. It's showing that he goes there and he's in the bosom of Abraham. So here it's saying that in the classic period of the mystic religions and the mystic prophets, with the Ophoric and Pythagorean, as well as the philosophers, modified the realm of the dead to include the Elysian paradise for the good and the Tartarian hell for the wicked. Souls were judged and assigned a suitable afterlife, and in some versions, cast into cycles of purgatory and reincarnation. Okay, so there is a Hades, and I did listen to a Christian, minister speaking about Jesus being there, and they could see Lazarus or something. I don't know. I don't know the exact verse that it is in the Bible. You guys can go hunt that down if you want. But Jesus was in Hades. The helm of darkness was the main weapon of Hades. The helm could render the wearer invisible. It is also known as the helm of Hades, or the cap of invisibility. Hades has been known to lend the helm to other gods, such as Hermes during the Great War, and once to a demigod, Perseus, when he killed Medusa. Remember when he kills Medusa? And this is how I go grocery shopping. So I am wearing the Helm of Hades. I'm already invisible. I'm playing the role in the play, right? We're all characters and the world is a stage. So I'm already playing the Helm of Hades role and wearing the invisible cap. It's hilarious. I can't believe it. The cap of invisibility. Dog-skinned of Hades, it's saying here, is the helmet or cap that can turn the wearer invisible. It is also known as the cap of Hades or the helm of Hades. Wearers of the cap in Greek myths include Athena, the goddess of wisdom, the messenger of the god Hermes, and the hero Perseus. The cap of invisibility enables the user to become invisible to other supernatural entities, functioning much like the cloud or mist that the gods surround themselves in to become undetectable. I'm telling you guys, it's happening, and this eventually it will happen. In classical mythology, the helmet is regularly said to belong to the god of the underworld. Helmet of Pluto, the helmet of Orcus. The helmet belongs, proverbially, for those who conceal their true nature by a cunning device, the helmet of Pluto, which maketh the political man go invisible. In secrecy, in the council, in clarity, in execution. So it's like, it's crazy, yeah, but it's basically, I think, we transform and then you're here, but you're not here. Like, it's just, they're showing us the symbolism everywhere, that the higher dimensional beings are invisible. And that's why in Alice in Wonderland, right, we're all Alice, we don't know what we're doing here. We're just going down rabbit holes trying to find the truth in this labyrinth. But the whole thing is, I did a whole video on this. If you haven't seen it, you have to Google non-Oriental, like China, Oriental wormholes. And it will bring you to Alice universe theory. It's a quantum physics theory that there's a parallel universe. And you have to take on a Cheshire charge, which is why the Cheshire moon is what the cat is always smiling. It's a winter solstice moon. When the moon comes up in the wintertime, it's on its back. And you take on this Cheshire charge. It has to do with the pearl, your body becoming like a superconductor so you don't fry. When this energy from the sun, these gamma rays come from the sun and activate your body up through the soles of your feet, which your feet turn to brass, activate your kundalini, and then you go into the invisible DMT mushroom world. Okay, so this is what it's crazy, but it's all science. Okay, it's all goes back to the science and the science of your body and the science of the cycle of this planet and how it gets reset. It has a reset and it comes from the sun. Okay, so the people that are getting locked down with this, gene therapy, it's so they don't fry, okay, because they're in a fear-based reality. They don't want to let go of the fear-based. It's based on their ego, okay? Ego keeps you in fear. You're always worried what people think of you. You don't want to step out of group think, okay? So the group think is going to be part of the harvest for the nectar of the gods. Okay, this is how it works. This is all what mythology is saying. It's not a joke. It's really true. And yeah, my reality is different from your reality. That's what you just have to tell people. It's pretty funny. We're going to be invisible. The Bible tells you your feet turn to brass. Alice in Wonderland tells you you have to have the Cheshire smiling moon. And this makes you invisible. You become the Cheshire cat, and you just, when things get stressy, you just zip out of here. You fade in and out. You come back and forth into this realm if you choose to. And these are your superpowers. You have the cloak, the Helm of Hades. So Aquarius, ruled by Saturn, that has the fish hook. The green lady on the ladder, on the Freemason's ladder, she has the fish hook. That's Aquarius. But also, Uranus rules Aquarius, right? And that's the Phoenix. So that's the 17th star card. That is, you drink the Nemosin River coming from the 2 jugs from Aquarius, right? So this is all tying into Aquarius. So when I started looking into Aquarius and really understanding who the man was holding the pots, I was really shocked to find out who he really is. Okay, and this all ties into the ambrosia and drinking the nectar of the gods. Now, who is Aquarius? He's Ganymede. Ganymede is the moon of Jupiter, right? He's, very close to Jupiter. He follows Jupiter. But he is the true identity of Aquarius. So, Aquarius is said to represent Ganymedes, the most beautiful of mortals, who was carried to heaven by an eagle as an act as a cupbearer for Jupiter, who's Zeus, right? It's his cupbearer for the nectar. According to other accounts, however, it is Deucalion, son of Prometheus. So, but anyhow, he is Ganymede. He is, because I found all these statues all over the place with him being with the eagle. Okay, so he is a young boy that has to get the nectar for Zeus to drink, so Zeus can have his ambrosia, his nectar of the gods. So Aquarius Ganymedes encroaching onto the heads of 2 horses, Pegasus and Equilus, to compensate the father of Ganymedes, King Laomedon of Troy, for abducting his son. Zeus gave him 2 immortal steeds. So one of the steeds' names was Clearus, which is Equilus, is thought to be Clearus, and Harpicus might be Pegasus. The horses were given to Tros in exchange for him. So Albrian said that one time in India, Aquarius was Kumbha or Kumpapa, which recalls the Elamite divinity of the name of Kombi, the storm god. Kombi. There was a guy in the news, wasn't it? A sports guy, Kombi, that died. I remember, I'm sure it was all tied to this. Okay, so the Kumbha means the water pot. So yeah, so the jug that Aquarius holds is called the Kumbha. Okay, and this, it holds the nectar of the gods. So yeah, so basically Jupiter, Zeus has a relationship with Aquarius, even though Saturn rules Aquarius, or Uranus rules Aquarius, because, it represents his little, boy that's bearing, the jugs for him to drink out of, so that's who Aquarius is. He's holding the nectar of the gods. I think eventually it's going to be the purple rain pouring out of there, but the whole thing is, I want to go into the ambrosia and what it really is. So this would be, Aquarius, Ganymede, and he has the Frisian Liberty cap. Okay, so these caps they wear, kind of like a Smurf cap, which is the blue people. Oh my God, that. Anyhow, it all ties into it, the whole Smurf story. But with the Smurf hat, the Liberty hat, this is the Freedom hat. This is the cap of Hades. It's the invisible cap. It's your liberty. Okay, and then the eagle takes him away, and he actually gets taken up into the sky by the eagle. There's more pictures, there's more statues of him, but you can see how he's being used and depicted in so many different, events. The sculpture is everywhere. Okay, it's even in the Library of Congress in Washington, depicting the adolescent nude Ganymede on the back of an eagle. Ganymede and the god Dionysus make an appearance in the Everworld 6, Fear of the Fantastic. Okay, so it's on all these movies, and it just goes on and on and on. So here he is being carried away. Ganymede, introduction of Budweiser to the gods. So the word Budweiser, the freaking beer is the Ambrosia. Oh my God. And they always have the horses, right? The Budweiser commercial. I don't believe this. I just realized that's what I was reading at. Budweiser to the gods. Okay. Okay. There you go. 1906. This is the statue in Zurich. I like this one. It's quite beautiful, right? So yeah, it's. I never knew Aquarius was Ganymede. I just didn't know. So I told. But anyhow, this makes me really happy because it ties in the Liberty Caps. It ties in. I always knew that what's coming out of Aquarius was the nectar of the gods, but now, this confirms it. So I'm just like, okay, totally makes sense now. Totally. Aquarius is often depicted as an angel, so Ganymede is the angel. I know that I am mortal by nature and ephemeral, but when I trace at my pleasures the windings to and fro from the heavenly bodies, which are the planets, I no longer touch earth with my feet. I stand in the presence of Zeus, which is Jupiter, himself, and take my fill of ambrosia. Okay, this is Ptolemy. So Zeus drinks the ambrosia, and now we're going to go into what the heck the ambrosia is. Genesis says nothing about the forbidden fruit being an apple. Okay, so the fruit is part of the ambrosia, right? There's liquid and there's food. It's like, so you eat it. It's not just drink it. So everybody says, it's the apple, right? But there's no text really saying that it's an apple or an apple tree. It's all being like speculation. And this is why it's speculation. So why is everyone so sure it's an apple? Because of a pun in the 4th century. Okay, Pope Damascus decided that the Bible needed to be translated into Latin. So the scholar Jerome was given the job, and when he got to the mention of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, he apparently decided to make a pun. In Latin, malus means evil, but it also means apple. So the fruit of the tree that let Adam and Eve know evil was an apple. Ha ha, what a great joke. Early churchgoers were probably rolling in the aisles. So, yeah. There's an apple joke. Oh my God, the fruit and fruit. So it wasn't an apple, it just means the word evil. The food and drink of the gods. Okay, food of the gods, meaning the divine meal. Ambrosia and nectar were commonly spoken of in ancient texts and generally consensus being that ambrosia was a food, whilst nectar was a drink. But it was not uncommon to see nectar named as the food and ambrosia the drink. Now, as to where ambrosia and the nectar came from, or how they were produced, is not elaborated upon, and it's simply being said that both were delivered to Mount Olympus each morning by doves. I don't like that. It's like the doves are like supposed to be like ascended souls, right? So it's like, okay, how they, yeah, I don't like that. The souls that float, the doves, right? On Mount Olympus, the ambrosia and the nectar would then be served to the other residents by firstly Hebe, the daughter of Zeus and Hera, and then later to Ganymede, the abducted Trojan prince. So this Ganymede was abducted, okay, and that was his job, was to dish out the ambrosia, pour it out. So wow. So Aquarius is a trafficked child. Partaking of ambrosia and nectar gave to the Greek gods, the goddesses, their immortality, and it was said that by some that the consumer of ambrosia and nectar turned the blood of the Greek deities into more heavenly life force, the Ekor. There was a downside, though, to having consumed ambrosia and nectar, for the gods and the goddesses would have to continue to partake of the food and drink of the gods, or else they would have their life force fade away. I'm telling you, we're basically being used to keep these higher beings, in empowerment. We're definitely a prop. The fading of the powers of immortality was said to have occurred by Demeter when the Olympian goddess searched the earth for her missing daughter Persephone. Mortals partake of ambrosia and nectar. There was an underlying belief that if a mortal partook of the ambrosia and nectar, then they too would become immortal, like the gods, and certainly induce Tantalus, or try and steal the food and drink from the gods. Although the king did not succeed in his attempt, he did receive an immortality of sorts, for he was thereafter punished by eternity in Tartarus. So he was sent to Hades, the bad part of Hades, for trying to steal the nectar. This king, he's trying to steal the nectar from the gods. So tales from antiquity, though, all give examples of mortals eating ambrosia and not becoming immortal. For it was said by some that Athena gave to each of the heroes hidden within the wooden horse of Troy ambrosia to eat when they grew hungry. So it kind of like I know Vikings are supposed to drink it as well, and it kind of makes you stronger, right? It's to stop you from, it's like a fountain of youth. So they're saying here that the ambrosia and nectar were given as a restorative, right? So it's like a reboot. Yeah, and for the goddess Aphrodite was given some to restore her strength and cleanse her wounds after she had been injured. So yeah, and they're going on here. The most famous case of ambrosia being used as an anointing fluid occurred when Achilles was just a baby. Achilles' mother, Thetis, would seek to make her son immortal by covering him with ambrosia. Anyhow, so, and then it says the mortal elements of Achilles was burnt away. She was trying to burn away the human part of him. So, but it's also, yeah, it was used as an anointing oil as well. So, anyhow, it's important stuff, and we need to figure out exactly what it is. So the ambrosia and the nectar might have been the food and drink of the gods, but it was also not only thing they consumed by the Greek deities. Famously, the baby Zeus, hidden away in the cave upon Mount Ida, drank milk from a goat and ate honey. Some would say the ambrosia and nectar were actually honey, for honey can be eaten, drunk as wine, and also be used in anointing bodies. But at the same time, some ancient writers specifically tell that ambrosia nectar being 8 or 9 times sweeter than honey. Okay, so anyhow, it's very, very sweet. And that's an important clue. Guess what else is extremely sweet? And there's the original tree of life with Eve and Adam and Eve and the dotted Amanita muscaria. Yep, it's the mushroom. I just, on my new Facebook, on Crystal Time Facebook, somebody had linked me up to a guy that's in Lithuania, and I've listened to quite a few of his videos, and he is, harvesting Amanita muscaria, and he has a website called Reindeer Amanita, and he's been bounced out of Facebook. I think he said maybe at least 10 times for speaking about it. And so actually I purchased some. I'm going to try it. I did try my golden teachers on the fall equinox, and all I really felt was like this overwhelmingly feeling of relaxation coming, and then almost like my body didn't have any end to it. Like it was just like I was kind of expanding outward. So it was, I didn't get really trippy or anything. I don't think I took enough. So it was a good way to kind of see how I felt about it. And I felt a little bit like every once in a while I needed to just get up and go walk outside. I kind of was feeling like I don't know, a little bit like just needed to move because the relaxation was like, almost like taking over in a kind of a different way. So anyhow, that was my experience. I wanted to tell you guys about it. So I'm going to try this Amanita muscaria just in small little doses, because this, I've listened to the guy that, Adam, who's, harvesting and selling this, and him explaining it, and it's exactly what I believe is the gateway to the divine. Okay, it is in so much ancient text, and I think all the fear around it is all to do with just keeping us locked away, because he was explaining that it even improves eyesight, it heals your body. It's not just like a psychedelic trip. It heals you. It literally finds out what's wrong with you, and it heals you. And this is why the shamans use the Amanita muscaria, because they were healing their tribes people. And it just so happens to be extremely, extremely sweet tasting. And there's Christ sitting up in a stained glass window with his Amanita muscaria mushrooms. And I literally found the link to the word ambrosia to the mushroom. So Ambrosia is a genus of Ambrosia fungi. There you go. It's a mushroom. Okay, so the ambrosia is the mushroom, and the nectar, I guarantee, is the urine, because that's what the ancient tribes people used to do. They used to mix the amanita with the urine from the reindeer so that they wouldn't get, the stomach cramping and everything. And this is a healing, combination that activates DNA, okay, because the urine activates DNA, and I guess with the mushroom being an enlightenment and also kind of monitoring your aura or your energy, it ends up healing you. Okay, so this is why it's being demonized to the point that it has, because it's like, the true healer of the planet, and then you have, this pharmaceutical, with the etymology of that being sorcery. Of course they don't want this information out there. Of course not. So even they put the etymology of the name into the beetles that need the fungi. They go in and eat the tree, tree of life. But they have some way of they won't eat this tree unless it has the fungi with it. And so these are called Ambrosia Beetles. So they're also linking, the word ambrosia to the fungi. And it's interesting with the beetles, right? With the scarab beetle. So, it's all kind of symbolic. So in Mexico, there's a little Liberty Cat, they were called Teonanacatl mushrooms. The flesh of the gods is the translation, right? And there's so much artwork. And, I'm sure they tried to destroy a lot of it, but some of it got saved. And I love these little little mushroom men. I think those are amazing. Yeah, so I think the mushroom trip is a little bit more than just like tripping out. I think it's like really teaches you how to connect to the divine. I truly do. Here's a Mexican god statue where they're saying that all the symbolism are just different types of mushroom. So, yeah, hidden knowledge all in plain sight, right? This one cracked me up when I found this. Ambrosia, it's Zeus's whiskey glasses. Okay, so it's hidden exactly in plain sight. Zeus's ambrosia. Oh yeah. Look how they hide it, right? They hide it in front of you so that you just don't pay attention. It's just all there. And they just want to make it seem like it's a little fantasy world that that you're possibly impossible to get to. But this little world that they're talking about with all these little beings, or these little Smurf beings, are on the other side, waiting for us to expand our consciousness, so we eventually can see them and work with them and use their little magical powers to help us, I guess, little Santa workshop elves. It's always about the Amanita, right? The Amanita is everywhere. This just came out September 18th, and they're showing the Amanita. They're even showing the snake. Yeah, so the Alice in Wonderland, they got the Bitcoin there, the money. You gonna chase the money down into the rabbit hole, or are you gonna eat the Amanita? Oh, it's hilarious. What a crazy, crazy, crazy reality we're in. Oh my God, I feel like a little kid on a little Easter egg hunt. And that's what they used to do, right? They used to go gather up the Amanita, like their little spotted eggs when they were just popping out of the ground. So there's the all-seeing eye in the Amanita. And this, I know, picture looks a little creepy, but I kind of find it cool because it's like, ride the pale horse, the pale green horse. You're going to get through the veil and get to become invisible and live in paradise on earth. I swear to God, this mythology is not lying to us. The sky is not lying to us. There's a way out of here. There's a key. And they kept the key from us, and now we're awakened and we're finding out how to get through the door of Ophiuchius. Hallelujah. Bliss to you guys. Anybody need a reading? I'm still booking. Thanks. A couple of you guys come through this week, and it was awesome. I'm keeping busy. And I'll just, I want to do a video out in the woods. My leaves are going to start to change soon. And show you how beautiful it is up here in Canada when the maple leaves start to turn. Take care, guys. Bliss to you.